My name is James Holmes, and I'm a member of Elizabeth Baptist Church. My family and I joined Elizabeth when Elizabeth was over on Hightower, up on the hill. I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking with you about my experiences as an employee of the United States Census Bureau, and how some people say part of that is associated with making history. And I will start by saying in 1998, then President Bill Clinton and Secretary of Commerce Bill Daley appointed me as the acting director of the United States Census Bureau. That was the first time that an African American had been appointed to that position. This is 2020, and that still holds true. Why is that position important? Well, I'm sure some of you remember the name of Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson was our third president. But Thomas Jefferson was also the first census director when the first census was conducted in 1790. Why is a census important? Well, there are a number of reasons, but primarily it's associated with determining the number of representatives that each state will have every 10 years. As a matter of fact, the Constitution in Article 1, Section 2 specifies that a census will be done every 10 years. It's especially important to African Americans because in 1790, when the first census was done, everyone in this country was counted as a whole person, except for slaves. And we were counted as 3/5 of a person. And that did not change until after the Civil War. So we were less than a person up through the 1870 census. How did I get there? Well, I grew up in South Georgia, a small town called Albany. And like most of you, I grew up in the church. And during the time that I was growing up, going to church was not an option. My mother made sure, whether I wanted to or not, that I went to church every Sunday. Went to Sunday school, went to BTU, all of the other church activities. But from the standpoint of preparing myself for the job of the Census Bureau, I attended a historically black college. And once I started working for the Census Bureau, my first job was as a survey statistician. That was managing the collection of census information on the ongoing surveys. For example, when the unemployment rate is released every first Friday of the month, that was one of the first surveys I worked on many, many years ago. I worked as a survey statistician for a number of years, and at some point, probably 6 years later, I was selected as a survey coordinator. And survey coordinator is a person that manages a number of survey supervisors. I was the first African American that held that job. Once I became a regional director, which was in 1982 in Philadelphia, I also was involved in a number of innovative ideas and activities. One was setting up the Census Bureau's first computer-assisted telephone interview center. That was unheard of back in those days. Also, not too long after that, I was involved in the development and implementation of using a handheld device comparable to what we now think of as a cell phone for collecting census data. Why is all of this important? It's important because if you decide that you're going to concentrate and devote your time, effort, and energies, whether it's to education or anything else, there's absolutely nothing that's impossible. One of the key things that if you don't remember anything else that I've said during this brief presentation is that what's in your head, that is your education, and what is in your heart, that is your faith and your religion, those are two things that no one can take away from you. But only you can make a decision about what's going to be in your head, and even more importantly, at the end of the day, what's going to be in your heart. And that's associated with your faith in God, which is the only thing that matters at the end of the day.